Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Edwards School of Business and to the fourth presentation in the Gordon, Maureen, Haddock and Entrepreneurial Speaker Series. Thank you for coming out today. I'd like to welcome the students. We've got faculty, we have staff, we have guests from downtown. It's great to see such a good crowd out in this very large room, which seats about 150 or so students. So it's great to have you here. My name is Brooke Dobney, and I'm the Associate Dean at the Edwards School of Business, and I'm going to be your host and your moderator today. For a very short time, I'll step aside pretty soon, but I just want to introduce a few folks first. First of all, the Speaker Series is a significant event. Wally and Colleen, who are our guests today and will be introduced later by Gordon, Maureen, Haddock, our Saskatoon entrepreneurs. They're well-known individuals, and I know I'll let Gordon, Maureen elaborate not in a minute. You're going to be able to hear their story of success and entrepreneurship. And after which there will be a short question and answer session. So for those folks that are wanting to get the first-hand perspective of entrepreneurs, don't be shy. Think about your questions, and you'll get an opportunity to ask Wally and Colleen questions. Well, this speaker series is made possible through the generous contributions of Gordon and Maureen Haddock, who are here with us today. And those contributions are both financial and personal in terms of identifying speakers and asking them to come out to speak and inviting them. And their network is significant, and we've been very honored to have them as our friends and partners here at the Edwards School of Business. And I have the pleasure of introducing Gordon and Maureen, who are going to then introduce Wally and Colleen. Gordon and Maureen are very good friends of the Edwards School of Business. Both are graduates of the U of S. Gordon graduated with his Bachelor of Commerce degree. I'm not going to say in what year because I honestly don't know what year it was, so I won't go into that. And Maureen is a graduate of the College of Education. I'm also happy to say and honored to be affiliated with the Haddocks for some years now. I don't know, maybe 30 years ago we did a real estate transactions, our families. We sold them some property and buildings. And ever since then, I think we've always had good discussions about that. So it's great to be able to introduce you as both a personal friend and a friend of the college. The Haddocks are true entrepreneurs in their own rights, and having them develop the Gordon Maureen Haddock Entrepreneurial Speaker Series is very fitting. They began the Speaker Series in 2007, and each year we have had the good fortune to hear from a variety of great Canadian entrepreneurs as they've shared their personal stories with us. Previous speakers have included Mr. Ted Hanlon, W. Brett Wilson, and Jim and Greg Ewell. So I'd now like to invite Gordon Maureen up and to introduce our special guests today, Mr. Wally and Mrs. Colleen Ma. I guess we're just getting Gord, right?
Yeah. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for coming out on this somewhat lovely fall day. I know what you gave up to sit in a dark hall here, so I appreciate that. We just got a couple technical things. Can we get everybody to turn their cell phones off if they haven't done so already? Because that'd just throw me right off if the cell phone rang, because I'd want to answer it. And next, every year this event goes really smoothly, and there's a person here who always looks after all the details, does all the hard work. She's the worker bee, we're the drones, and she never gets any recognition because it's usually in March, and in March she goes on a holiday. And so I never get to really say thank you. So Jan Kalinowski at the back, I get to finally thank you for all your hard work, and Karen and everybody else who puts their effort into this. Now the goal of the Haddock Entrepreneurial Speaker Series is to introduce students and anybody else who's interested in introduce them to entrepreneurs and their entrepreneurial journey, with the hopes that someone or many people get inspired and start their own business and, of course, help grow this fantastic province of ours. Now, when I talk to people about my entrepreneurial journey, one of the most asked questions is, what's the number one most important question that an entrepreneur should answer first before you start? And now I can't speak for all entrepreneurs, I can speak for myself, but I know a lot of people, it's not what business you're going to start, although that, of course, is very important. It's not how you're going to finance it. It's not which accountant to use or which lawyer, which are all important, and the business plan and so on and so forth. The number one most important decision you have to make is choosing the right life partner that you're going to take your entrepreneurial journey with. You need a life partner with the same goals, the same values, the same dreams, and the same unflinching belief that things will always work out in the end. And why do you need that? Well, because entrepreneurial journeys, as you are going to hear, are filled with successes. Then they're filled with even more challenges, and they're even filled with failures. Now, I don't know what Wally calls his failures. Maybe he hasn't had any. Probably hasn't. But in our family, we call them learning experiences. And I just know for a fact that most entrepreneurs have PhDs in learning experiences. So when it comes to choosing the right life partner, you need somebody that's going to go along for the ride, someone who's willing to sacrifice along the way, someone who's willing to sacrifice when things hit the fan. You need somebody who's going to be there with you in the darkest hours, and you need somebody that's going to be there to listen to you when you say, this last idea really didn't work out all that well, but I've got this really, really great new business idea. And what you want to hear coming out of the mouth of your partner is, oh, that's a good idea. You don't want to hear, good God. So we're fortunate today to have an exciting couple, the owners of Northridge Developments, one of the largest building and development companies in Saskatchewan and the western provinces. I can't speak for the east because I'm not familiar with that. But both are commerce grads, and I'll be a gentleman. Like Brooke, you've set the standard. I won't say what year, but if you go upstairs and look on the walls with the pictures, you can find it. You won't find mine, for sure, because I was a Christmas graduate. So, ladies and gentlemen, I could stand here and give you a list of awards that would fill a book that these people have, but I'd rather just let them tell their own story, and afterwards you can ask them some questions. So ladies and gentlemen, Colleen and Wally Ma.
Where do you want to stand? Right here? Well, good afternoon, everybody. This thing is working. You can hear me okay? I mean, thank you so much for showing up, and I see some familiar faces in the crowd. And you know, when you're saying that, you know, there's always one person in the duo that is the salesman, you know. And believe it or not, it's not me. And as you're saying that about that next idea and everything else, we've just had 30 years of marriage together, and we've seen the ups and the downs, and you know, it's always Wally with his next new idea, and you know, he's always got to convince me. I'm always, well, what about this, what about that? And my children, even as little children, I think I shared that with Gordon Maureen, they used to say, you know, Dad can convince you that mustard is ketchup, you know, because Wally always had that spin on things. So anyway, so where did this all start? How did this journey together start? Well, we met in the College of Commerce. It wasn't the Edwards School of Business then, it was the College of Commerce. And I was in the middle of my second year, and Wally was almost finishing his fourth year. And he, of course, came and had to borrow a library card. So he came up and, you know, he spotted me, and he borrowed my library card, went out and borrowed the library book, and promptly lost it. And this has been a recurring theme in the last 30 years. So note to self, things don't change. Okay, and so, I mean, during that time and over several years, we did all of the usual things. We dated and graduated. We you know, got our jobs, and we subsequently got married. And at the time, we were both working for the government, and we had, in those days, we were making a fairly decent wage and sort of on our way. Wally decided he wanted to strike out on his own and start a construction company. And he had been building houses, working for the government and building houses on the side. But he decided that the time was right and that he was going to be his own boss. Now, the time that he considered that the time was right was 1982. Now, a lot of the people around here, or a lot of the students here, weren't even born in 1982. Some of you might have taken history classes or economics classes, and in these classes they refer to the early 1980s and the years of the double-digit interest rates. So this was not the greatest time to go into the home building industry. But there you have it. He had to do that, and he's a very strong-willed individual. So the plan, and we always had a plan, the plan was that I was going to work for a few years, start a family, stay at home. Well, fast forward to 1998. I was still working for the government. And Northridge Development Corporation, at that time we had Northridge Development Corporation. We were continuing to build houses and make a name for ourselves. At that time, it was the very end of 1998, Wally's sales manager had decided he wanted to pursue other interests and had given his notice. And Wally phoned and asked if I would leave the government and come and work for Northridge, and come and work for him specifically. And I guess for myself, this started a new era in the Ma household and a change in the direction of Northridge Developments. And second note to self here, I didn't just jump headlong into this. I had learned a little bit over the years. And so the government's great. They give you an unpaid leave to pursue other interests. So I took a 15-month unpaid leave from the government to see if we could really work together without causing death to one of us over the period of time. And one of the things we learned from that was, and you talk about, you need that partnership, is we really found that strengthened our relationship working together. And I think it's not for everybody, but if it is part of sort of your DNA in that family, it works really, really well. And we found that it actually really, really worked well to strengthening our married relationship, as well as bringing new ideas to the corporation. Now he gets to talk.
Well, when I left the government in 1982, we left a secure job. I think between Colleen and myself and some of the other enterprises that I was involved in, we were making $125,000 a year in 1982. And I left that job to work for $24,000 a year for 5 years. Now, my dad, when I told him, and he's passed away since then, I phoned him up to tell him, and he said, the only thing they never taught you in commerce was how to count. Don't you understand that interest rates are 20%? And how do you feel about that? And my first reaction was, if I can make it now, I can make it. These times are not good, but that's I needed to make that decision, and for whatever reason, it culminated in 1982. I started this company with my partner Jules Kalniak. We borrowed on 2 used cars, $10,000. That's what we started with. And I know that's hard for people to believe, but it wasn't a lot of money back then. And somebody asked me, well, how did you meet your partner? And I said, well, he had one of the used cars. and that's the reality of that relationship that has lasted for 30 years. We have, one of the things that when I look back and say, what has happened to us that in these events that would stand out. And one, I married a wonderful lady that supported me. And the other thing is, I had a partner that put up with my antics, because I was a pretty haywire guy at that time. And I would headstrong, and if somebody said no, I took it as new opportunities, and I'd find a way to fix it. And that's something that I look back at, and those were pretty decisive decisions in my mind. You know, our company has grown and prospered, and we have approximately 165 employees today in Northridge Developments, with an additional 85 employees in our privately owned companies, as well as our that are involved with us. We operate in 10 municipalities, and we operate in Regina, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert. We've received numerous awards in our building industry, and we're certainly very proud of that, as well as ABEX awards for Business of the Year. And you know, you look back at those times and you wonder, you know, how did you collect all this hardware? We did not go into business to collect hardware, and I think, you know, what I'd like to tell the people that are here is that, you know, if you do the right thing, good things will happen to you. And you know, there's always values in business. You know, this last year, our company received its core designation, which is a certificate of recognition for safety. And that's probably one of the things that I value a lot, because our employees are our most valuable assets, and we want them to work in a safe environment. And so we spent probably $200,000 to get a designation that is virtually impossible to get because we're in the home building business, and that involves multiple sites. It's not just one site that you're dealing with. So the whole culture of your company has to change in order to achieve this, and it will also be very hard to maintain. You know, people ask me what I would do differently, and personally, I would have spent more time with my wife and my family. I know the sacrifices that they took to follow me in my journey, but it has a cost, and you know, lots of people never survive that cost, and I have many friends that you know, are tremendously successful in business, and on a personal level, their life is not so pretty, and you know, your personal life with your family is a business, and you need to take care of it. You know, it's nice to be successful, but you know, there's many connotations of success, and if you find somebody that you love and that you feel you know, that you want to be with, I think it's important that you spend that time, because I think very few of us realize how fast time passes, and pretty soon you're old like us. Yeah. You know, our company has faced tremendous challenges. We've been successful, but the thing that has really brought home to me certain values and what's molded this company is my failures. You know, I've failed in certain aspects of my business, and those life lessons have made this company what it is today. And so failure is not something, is just a learning experience, and I always used to worry about failure, but you know, as long as you can see your way through and regroup, I think it's important that you understand that, because I don't think anybody that's successful truly understands what success is unless you failed. You need to fail in order to understand how much hard work it took you to come back and make it successful. And I guess that's you know, something that I would, you know, stress to you. When you fail, don't give up. Get up off that floor and do it again. in working with my wife, you know, it's business is business in our company. You know, we both share a vision, but you know, sometimes it's very difficult to separate your personal emotions from business decisions. And both Colleen and I have a common value, and we respect each other for that. And if you're going to plan to work together, you can't go home mad. It's not a good thing. It's a, you know, what we're talking about is just business. It certainly has nothing to do with, you know, you can't take those emotions home. And I encourage anybody that wants to work with their husband to really think about that, because I probably didn't understand it for a while, and neither did Colleen. But eventually we got to figure it out that, you know, we'd be mad a lot. So one of the biggest pluses for me to have Colleen work with me is that she's my best friend. And we work together and we support each other's ideas and thoughts. And that's something that, you know, I really appreciate. One of the concerns that people say when they see us working together 24/7 is, does that bother you? And the reality of it is Colleen sees me in a day, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and we're only 3 offices down. We each have our own roles, and I don't see it as something that you know, is bothersome, to tell you the truth. And in many ways, it's comforting to know that you can always go in, close the door, and have a frank discussion about something, and you know that you're going to get a very, very sincere answer. So in order for us to work together, we have to have defined roles. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to do that. So I guess, Colleen, you're next.
Mm-hmm. And I was just going to say, I don't get any preferential treatment at work. I have to make an appointment to see him as well. And oftentimes he hustles me out the door because he's got way better things to do than talk to his wife about whatever. Right? We actually married before the Northridge Developments was formed, and you know, so I really was involved with Northridge even, you know, as we were setting it up, and involved in. I actually come with a marketing background out of commerce, and you know, was involved in you know, setting up logos and whatever. You know, but you know, after that, I was working full time. I worked full time through, you know, both of the kids, and you know, as Wally said, he's starting off the company, and you know, it really helps in a relationship where you have somebody that, you know, will make the mortgage payments. You know, Wally is busy building the business and everything else, and you support him as much as you can. But it really does help when both people have a goal in making your family life succeed, and part of it is, you know, making the mortgage payment. So. It was during that period, it was a very, very busy period in our life. Now, anybody who works at Northridge has heard me say this, that my favorite saying is that all things happen for a reason. And we, you know, a lot of things have come up over our lifetime, either personally or business, and you don't know why they're happening, but after they happen, you say, yes, that's why. You know, a lot of the trials and tribulations that we have make you a stronger person, and when you pull together, it makes you a stronger couple, because you are, you know, you're basically, you have the one goal. One of the, probably the best things that happened was that this opportunity for me to leave the government, Revenue Canada, and join Wally happened at a time when the boys were a little bit older. It, you know, would have been much more difficult if this would have happened when the boys were a lot younger, just, you know, because of their needs and everything. So they were in their early teens, and they were a little bit older and a little more independent. Because one of the things that you find out when you are running your own business is that it really is an all-time consuming effort. And, you know, it's not like a 9-to-5 job, a Monday to Friday job. And even when you have your own personal things to do, you're providing backup for your spouse who is working in the business. And he is providing backup to you. You know, we did this all the time where it's like a tag team. You know what, I can't pick up the kids, you pick up the kids, I'll do this or whatever. And so, you know, so the communication is there all the time. It is a full-time round-the-clock job. You really got a true appreciation of the amount of pressure that your spouse is under when you actually join the business and you're actually in the office. A lot of things they can't bring home when you have your job and he has his job. You know, he doesn't want to bring this type of stuff home. But when I actually joined him in the business, I really got a sincere appreciation for the amount of pressure that you have. And you know, it's because you're everything. You're chief cook and bottle washer. You're sweeping the floors. You're paying the staff. You're generating the sales. You're doing everything. It certainly gave me a new perspective in our relationship, and a new perspective in even being a business person, as what's expected of you. One of the good things, like one of my coworkers came to join us today, and one of the best things about bringing some other experience to a family business is I worked for Revenue Canada for 24 years before I left and came to join Wally. And I mean, you know, people laugh about Revenue Canada, but it's a big organization and lots of training, lots of support, and it gives you a really strong sense of organization and method and how things should be done. And probably that was one of the best things that could have happened, because I brought those same skills with me to Northridge when I moved over. And you know, by joining Northridge, I did bring a whole new perspective to a company that had sort of, you know, grown and grown and grown, but reached a period of time when it, you know, perhaps needed a little bit of a different perspective and a little different form of organization. So,
you know, what makes it work? We both have a deep respect for each other and for the work that we do and the position that we have within this organization. We trust each other, and we give each other feedback. And we really are each other's support system.
it's me. When I was dividing this up, I was thinking, like, who should speak on the soft stuff? So I should probably speak on the soft stuff. I always refer to Northridge as truly a mom and pop operation. And Wally told you, you know, we're big. We have a lot of people. We generate a tremendous amount in sales every year. We provide a living for a lot of people in a lot of communities. But you know what? It boils down to the fact that we are still a mom and pop operation. And you're looking at mom and pop here, you know, and you know what? And just like any family, these people are our family. We think very highly of everybody that works for us. But you know, just like a family, we try to maintain that solid front in front of the staff, just like they were your family. So we may argue, we may have lots of heated discussions as to, you know, how we're going to go forward, or what direction we're going to pursue, or how we're going to deal with, say, a staff issue or something like that. But when it comes to presenting the ideas to the staff, we speak with one voice. And I mean, it's served us well with our families and our children, and it's served us well with our organization. We have a staff that's intensely loyal to us, and a lot of them have been with us for, you know, in excess. Every year we do this 10-year plus photo, and that photo keeps getting bigger and bigger. And we now have people that have been with us over 20 years. So, you know, part of that is having the same care with your staff that you would have with your own family. One of the things, both with Wally and myself, is yes, we are together 24/7, you know, technically, but we allow each other our independence. Like, just because I want to do something, I don't expect that he wants to do it either, you know. He has his interests and I have my interests, and you know, I would never force him to play soccer. He would never force me to fish. I like to fish. He doesn't like to play soccer. But you have to allow the other person to have their own space. And just as I was thinking about this, one of the reasons that this really works is that we really enjoy being together. We have a lot of common interests. We did come up through commerce, and we do have some training in a business background. We do really enjoy discussing all of these things on a daily basis. So it's not like it's work. We really do enjoy it, and it really is a lot of fun.
So, what are some of the pitfalls? Well, you can't buy a fishing boat without telling your wife. Before she came, I could.
What was really funny is the staff would say, "Oh, about the fishing boat. Oh, you're not supposed to know." So.
Sometimes you don't want to talk about business anymore. You need some space. And you have to recognize this and do something before it gets become a much bigger issue. You have to take care of yourself. And it becomes difficult when you are together 24/7. What am I most happiest with? I think that, one of the things is that we've attained a degree of respect and recognition within this community, both individually and together. We're both very supportive of the journey that we've taken, and we both want to succeed. We recognize that each of us has their own individual strengths, but we are much stronger together than apart. We are the Northridge team. In a male-dominated business, Colleen has certainly brought a different perspective to this company. And we believe in the importance of community, the family, and over the years, we've made a conscious effort to give back to this community.
And when we were discussing this, we were talking about, who we were going to talk to. And we're going to talk to students. And I can remember being a student and, being hardly able to finish and get a degree and actually get out and make some money. So that was the big thing, like who's going to pay me the most money. And a lot of times people go into business with a specific view of success, and this relates to money. As we've gone through our business, we realize that there's more to success than just the money. And that's easy for me to say because I'm standing here, but trust me, it's really true. If you want to be successful, you really have to be true to the values that you have within yourself, and you have to keep them out there. Yeah, and wealth all by itself, I think Wally talked about that before. We have friends that have lots of wealth, and they don't have their health, they don't have their integrity, they don't have their spouse, they don't have their family. So, it is one measuring stick. It's not the only measuring stick. And don't get me wrong, having a financially strong company is a very good measure of success, and the money it generates is wonderful, and we do lots with that money. The caveat here is that it's just one of the areas, and you have to look at your core values to measure success in your own eyes.
So, some of the life lessons that I've learned is value your integrity. This is a key value that is hard to fix once it's broken. Always walk the talk. People will appreciate what your true values are. Admit your mistakes and fix them at your cost. And never let fear determine your final decision, unless it's going to kill you. But by overcoming your fear, you will be able to look at a variety of possibilities and opportunities. And I know, coming from a commerce background, they drill into you risk. But, once you understand what those risks are, you will become a much more successful business person. Risk-averse people, I meet them every day, and I think to myself, in many cases, it's an imaginary risk, and you need to step back from that a little bit and take and maybe get some counsel from people that have gone through that period in their lives, and ask them what they would do. I think it would really help. You know, my advice to young entrepreneurs, when we grow up, there's 500 things that will make you a decent living, 500 businesses, and there will be only 2 that will make you a tremendous one. And I asked my son, why are you looking at the 498 businesses? Why are you not looking at the 2? And I think that's an important lesson. Every one of us, I guess, as long as you love what you're going to do, find that passion, find those 2 businesses, because that's what's going to drive you. You know, when you're traveling on the journey to success, hard work is the key. There's nothing that replaces hard work. You know, 30 years have flown by since I started this business. And you probably won't understand this, but monetary achievement is a goal, and it's nice to have recognition and the symbols of success. But what I would say is enjoy the journey. It is a journey, and if you are able to do that, and all those other things come with it, I think you will certainly find that it will be very rewarding for you.
We always sort of end, or any talk that we talk about, is the fact that we really feel that we have been truly blessed in this community. We have grown here, we've grown together as a couple, we've grown our family here. It's probably, why are we here? Because we absolutely love it here. We love doing business here, and we want everyone to prosper here. And for both of us, we do get a great deal of satisfaction from donating our time and donating, money. We do provide, money for things, but we also donate our time back to this community. And this is something that we've talked about. We both agree on this. It's good for our business. Of course it's good for our business, but you know what? For us, it's also good for our soul. And I would really encourage anybody else who plans on prospering in this community to also look at doing that, because I look at Saskatoon, it has changed so much in the last 30 years, and it just seems to be getting better all the time. So just really, really like what we've been doing here.
So thank you for listening to us today, and it's been an honor to speak to you.
Thank you, Wally and Colleen, for such an excellent talk on values, on your business. I can say from a personal perspective, I really enjoyed it. I know that the reason you're successful is because of the quality of the business you actually run, and that I can tell by how you talk about the values of integrity and Northridge being one of the best businesses, because I think you probably treat your customers like you treat your employees and your family as well, and that's part of the success.